Hello there and welcome to Market Insights. I am Lovina Emah. Today we will discuss a pressing issue affecting millions of Nigerians, and that is the escalating cost of transportation. Now, this is a topic that resonates with everyone, from the daily commuter to the business owner. Every single person that moves about is affected by this, especially when you're using the public transportation system. Now, the surge in transportation costs is one of the effects of the rising fuel prices, and commuters all over the country are feeling the pinch. In addition, coupled with the deteriorating state of our roads, it has made transportation a significant expenditure for many. In addition, or rather, this has in turn affected the cost of goods and services, leading to a ripple effect that impacts the whole economy. So what can be done? The government, businesses, and individuals must work together to find sustainable solutions. Furthermore, exploring alternative fuels and energy sources can help mitigate the impact of rising fuel prices. Apart from this, the government policies that promote the adoption of electric vehicles and renewable energy also plays a very crucial role as a solution to the high cost of transportation. So for businesses, the increased cost of transportation can be a significant challenge. However, there are strategies to help mitigate its impact. So this morning, we will explore the way forward in this high cost of transportation. We'll look at the root causes of the transportation cost hike, the impact on businesses, consumers, and the economy, potential solutions, including investments in alternative modes of transportation. And I'm going to have an expert who will join us virtually to share his insights on policy reforms and innovative solutions. Now, this increase in transportation costs has far-reaching consequences, and as I mentioned, consumer spending is greatly affected, and this will lead to an increase in consumer spending and a decrease in economic competitiveness. So it's time for us to all come together to find more sustainable and permanent solutions. So whether it could be public-private partnerships to technological innovations, we will discuss it all this morning. So don't miss this crucial discussion on the future of transportation in Nigeria. Stay tuned. My guest, or rather our guest this morning, who has joined us virtually, is Honorable Bolaji Soneye. He is a public affairs analyst. So welcome to Market Insights, Honorable Bolaji Soneye.
Good morning, everybody, and thanks for having me.
Great to have you this morning, and great to see you on our screens this morning. So we're discussing this increase in the cost of transportation, and it's not just something peculiar to one state alone. It's affecting all Nigerians living across the 36 states in this country now. But first of all, what are the primary factors driving the increase in transportation costs in Nigeria?
Firstly, I would say one of the primary or the major primary factor driving the increase in cost of petrol and some other energy sources is the removal of fuel subsidy by the current administration. And of course, this is causing the effects everybody is seeing right now in rising cost of fuel, petroleum, and I must say petrol starts to have different prices at different marketers or different petrol stations nationwide, where NNPC is selling at about 860 to 870, and then in some other states about 900, and while some other independent petrol stations are selling at a higher prices across board. This removal of subsidy, I must say, led to this, and the administration took a policy that is considered long-term to fix one of the major problems or economic problems of the country, to save the country from probably a total collapse. And that's the reason of the administration. But of course, the effect on the people is leading to higher cost of petroleum, which of course is as a result of subsidy removal.
Okay, well said. Yes, we all remember the period when it was announced, and we saw that from last year till date. I mean, we've been seeing increase in everything, but particularly with transportation, whether you're moving within your state of where you reside or whether you're traveling to another state, the prices, if we compare it from 2022 till date, the prices have, in some cases, they've even tripled in some cases. Now, looking at this whole scenario now, yes, the government has recommended some ways to mitigate these factors, this increase in the cost of transportation, but it's not really having any impact on on citizens, or especially on commuters that take the public transportation system. Now, how have this rising cost of transportation affected businesses and consumers in our economy?
The cost of transportation of petrol itself had affected so many sectors, especially states who are more grounded or have higher business activities. And in so many ways, it has affected, if I'm to list a few, one is increase in cost of transportation, which is affecting businesses that are heavily reliant on logistics. Some businesses are heavily reliant on deliveries and all of that, to clients at different places in the country or different locations at the same time. Has really affected cost of transportation, and it's really affecting businesses. We also look at higher cost of production. Some businesses are heavily reliant on machineries that are fuel powered, and generators and all of that. This is really affecting businesses because for their business to operate, they cannot do without petrol, and this high cost is affecting them. It will also reduce profitability in terms of profit margin for businesses, because once prices of production is going higher, profits one way or the other is affected directly, not even indirectly. And if these businesses wants to find a way to cut around this cost, or find a way to make sure they sustain profitability to be able to remain in business, then that means it will lead to another problem, which is increased prices on consumers. And increased prices on consumers for businesses to stay afloat will, of course, is a direct increment on inflation. It has this direct effect of inflation on virtually everything. And that's why we are seeing some prices of local commodities in the market continue to rise as increased prices, because businesses want to sustain themselves. And it will also affect businesses in the area of reduced competitiveness. For majorly the small scale and medium enterprises will be heavily affected compared to some businesses who are operating in areas with lower cost of petrol, because some products which are produced in the country are also, imported in, also brought in into the country. So businesses here who are producing the same thing will find it a lot difficult to compete, as cost of fuel in those environments might be lower, and it will affect their cost of final produce in the market. And then another impact it also have is also on distribution chain. It goes a long way, all of these are just tied together. And that's one of the major reasons why we're experiencing inflation in the country right now. I must say the cost of fuel, high cost of fuel, is doing all of this damage to the economy. But that being said, industries and companies can also adapt by looking out for alternative sources, which we'll talk about if you permit me.
Yes, yes. Well said. Thank you, Honorable Bolaji. Yes, well said. We'll definitely discuss how to come up with solutions, and also more permanent solutions in all of this. And yes, we've seen the effects of this, like you have rightfully mentioned. And speaking of businesses, the Association of Small Business Owners in Nigeria, ASBON, the president, Femi Egbeshola, has said that 8 million businesses have shut down in 18 months due to the economic hardship in the country right now. I mean, that's quite large. And we know in all of this is the small and medium business owners that will really be affected. Now, looking at this scenario, we know that there are people also into transportation businesses. Now, what would you recommend, or how would you advise these transportation owners with this high cost of fuel? Yes, we know that they have been increasing the prices when you're moving about in Lagos State, but what would you recommend that they should do to actually help them in this economic hardship?
Thank you. For those in the area of transport sector, especially those in transport business, they are the ones who can actually even make this say this whole pressure reduce on the people if they choose to go through the route of harnessing the alternative source of energies that are available, and which one of them is CNG. It's quite understandable that CNG, to get it installed at the first time, is quite expensive. When we talk of alternative source of energy, CNG is the most affordable right now when it comes to the cost of a kg of CNG gas, which varies between 100 and 250 naira per kg or thereabout. Where the challenges, where these transporters would have a problem or would face challenges, is probably the initial cost of converting their vehicles from petrol engine to CNG enabled engine to work. But of course, if this cost is a bit on the high side, that is where the credit system comes in. Partnering with a good credit system, looking at some credit banks and all of that, who can give loans to these people to get these installations done. For example, the last I checked, the cost for installing a CNG kit on a Toyota Corolla is about 500,000 naira, which is about $500,000. And for doing for a Sienna bus is close to $1 million naira, about 900,000 naira or thereabout. Yes, the initial cost is expensive, but in the long run, it is cost effective. And how do I mean? If you have to fill a liter of tank of any car, which is about 70 liters, which is currently almost 70,000 naira, it will cost you 5 times lesser to fill a 70 kg CNG gas to your vehicle. So yes, the initial cost is there, but if you look at the long run, let's look at commercial vehicles who fill their tanks almost every day. And then looking at the cost, 5 times lesser for doing a CNG gas. Filling your tank almost every day with 70,000 naira, and then you have to use CNG where you fill your tank with just about 15 to less than 20,000 naira per day. It's looking at the difference on the cost is a lot more, as in cheaper when for whoever is going through the alternative or choosing the alternative route. And then partnering, of course, raising the money at once is a problem, but once you partner with a credit company or all these, we have so many loan companies available right now that can give you loans to get this thing done once, and then the moment you get that done, it becomes a lot cheaper. And then aside that, CNG is a lot safer and it's also greener. Okay, and then it's estimated that 1 kg of CNG gas will give you approximately about 5 kilometers more than what a liter of petrol would do. Because the last estimate I checked or I have is that a liter of petrol will travel about 13 to 15 kilometers, while a 1 kg of CNG gas will travel about 18 to 22 kilometers, which means you would have extra 5 kilometers in travel time or energy preservation when you're using CNG. So CNG will last you longer as against when you're using petrol. At the same time, the cost is also 5 times lesser than having to use petrol. So to get this problem solved and make life easier for Nigerians, especially for those in the transport sector, I would encourage them to go for this CNG. And then even for private investors, the CNG gas stations are not really available everywhere the way you would see petrol stations, at almost every street or every junction. Private investors can take advantage of this opportunity to invest in that area and create more jobs. And I must say, creating more jobs comes in a lot of ways. For our youths, our young people, who can also quickly acquire the skill of, having to work on CNG conversion alone, it's going to create a whole lot of jobs, because in Nigeria today, we have close to 40 million vehicles in Nigeria today. And that's a whole lot of new job opportunities. Yes, we're in the midst of adversity, but in this midst of adversities, there are opportunities that are lying in there. So instead of us to just sit back and complain about what hardship is abroad, we should look at the opportunities and how we can take advantage of it for cheaper and better life. Even for private users who use vehicles to go to work, probably before your car once a week, it will cost you about 70,000 once a week. That's about 280,000 in a month or thereabout. And then in 6 months, you have spent well over $1 million. Or 5-6 months, you have spent well over $1 million. Why not look for a loan company, a credit facility that will help you install or convert your vehicle from petrol to CNG, and then you move on from there. Meanwhile, a lot of people also have these fears that once you convert your vehicle to CNG, it can no longer use petrol. I also believe that is not true. Your vehicle, once it's converted to CNG, it can still be retained and still use petrol. Should you find yourself in areas where, probably you couldn't get yourself a CNG gas, you can run on petrol for the short time being where you get yourself a CNG to refill or top up.
Okay. Well said, Honorable Bolaji. But two questions. Now, first of all, do you think there's sufficient enlightenment to commercial bus drivers about the benefits of CNG? And another thing, yes, you mentioned, you broke down, gave us the figures, how much is the cost for conversion, how much people will be spending when they are using CNG when compared to fuel. But how easy is it for these transportation owners to get a loan for them to be able to access the conversion kit? So your thoughts on this?
Well, I must say that getting loans in Nigeria now, the credit sector has actually been doing so well, because I could see lots of loan companies, loan apps message people, just say, just drop your BVN and then you're in. Lots of people are not getting loans without even collaterals, to do small businesses here and there. So it's just for these commercial drivers to be well enlightened, and probably more awareness on the side of the government to promote, the usage of CNG gases. Loan companies they're available for everybody. I must say, Nigeria had evolved so well in this area of people accessing loans. Of course, some loans are actually expensive, looking at the areas of loan sharks, but some are also very reasonable for people who are in business. Okay, so these drivers can access the loans, not just the drivers, the commercial bus companies. They've got some good banking records. Many of them have got good relationships with their banks. They just approach their banks and let them know this is what we want to do. And then they work out a repayment system plan that will be convenient for them and keep them in business, and also make transportation cheaper and available for their customers, who are the general commuters in the society.
Okay. So yes, more enlightenment is definitely needed. Okay, now let's talk about how technology can play a very big part in all of this. So now, technology, how can we, what would you advise the government to do in terms of using technology to optimize transportation systems and also help to reduce cost of transportation? Bolaji.
Firstly, has been playing a lot of role, and they've been doing quite well. And I think government needs to first encourage businesses or business owners on having to have some of their staffs or workers work from home. Okay. Right now, I'm talking to you from my location, which I don't think is cool to disclose, but at least I don't have to drive down to your station to be part of this program. And a lot of people can be very productive by having to work from home, so long the internet is available to them and all of that. And this is not a problem for a good number of businesses to do. Government needs to encourage that. And of course, businesses also, through their HR department, should also put measures in place that they get full productivity, that staffs who are asked to work from home. And once staffs are made to work from home, it takes away the burden of transportation. Probably you resume at work probably once a week, just to come and give reports physically if need be. But I can tell you that 80 to 90% of some operations can be done from home, which even government itself, like the Lagos State government, has done, saying that civil servants should operate from home. And it also brings about work efficiency. And this will also increase, profit for the company, because there's going to be more efficiency, and also keep more money in the pockets of their staffs or employees. So working from home is a very good one. And then when we talk about other technology areas, government also needs to provide for people who are into cyberspace development to be able to, increase facilities and things that will make internet usage a lot easier. Okay. And also technology, some companies in Nigeria or outside Nigeria, or people could invest in the area of all these conversion kits, possible production in Nigeria, or if not production in Nigeria, investments in technical know-hows, the knowledge of people who would actually come to, that's training young Nigerians in getting the knowledge of having to install many of these kits. So and when we talk of technology, it does not have to be online alone. Some are physical that you need to understand how to do it mechanically.
Okay, well, as you also know, these CNG conversion centers, they're not really popular all over the country. It's just in a few states that you have some CNG conversion centers. So not too many people in the country right now are aware of them or how to go about converting their engines to CNG. And also, like you mentioned, using the CNG on one part and also being able to use the fuel. So you don't have to eliminate the use of using fuel for your vehicles again. But now let's talk about policy reforms now. So looking at what the whole scenario right now with the more there's an increase in the price of fuel, and it also affects the cost of transportation. It increases the cost of transportation now. So what policy reforms are needed to address this root causes of the rising transportation costs?
Talking about policy reforms, I must say there are almost 2 to 3 different types. We have the short-term policy reforms, we have the long-term policy reforms. And from my understanding of this administration, they are taking the route of the long-term policy reforms. And I must say, for long-term policy reforms, we will begin to see the impact in over a year, probably a year, 2 years, or a bit more. That's when we begin to see the impact. Yes, for such long-term policy reforms, it brings about stability in the long run. It brings about better life for the citizenry. But while we wait for these reforms to begin to impact, it also comes with short-term hardship. And these short-term hardships are what we are experiencing now in terms of rising cost of petrol, rising cost of living, and so many others. But in the long run, yes, these policy reforms would have a strong and positive effect, which will be enjoyed by, of course, this generation and the next generation are coming. But of course, for us to get this done, we have to weather the storm, which is the difficult times we are currently experiencing. For how long this would stay, I don't know, I can't tell. But for my understanding of global economics, it takes about 2 years or a bit more for long-term policy reforms to begin to have effects. And one of the reforms that is being made by this administration, which I heard, especially in the area of energy, is the sales of crude in Naira to Dangote refineries. The sales of crude in Naira would have a lot of big impact on the economy, because if, for example, not just Dangote refinery, I think to every other refineries in Nigeria, and some other refineries are also coming up, aside from Dangote refinery, which is currently functioning. I think there are some other modular refineries in Nigeria who will now be getting crude oil in Naira. This is a very big achievement for this from this administration. But of course, in the long run, it's effective. It's going to start to lower cost of energies, petrol, and others. How do I mean? If petrols as crude oil is sold in Naira to refineries, it just means they will sell the byproducts of crude, which are petrol, kerosene, and others, to the citizens and the people, of course, in Naira as well. What this has done is it has taken away the burden and the pressure on the Naira as against the dollar, whereby 40% of the demand of dollar in the economy is used in purchase of petrol to be imported into the country. The moment this 40% pressure leaves the Naira would have some breathing over a period of time. It's not something we'll see the effect immediately, but the moment this supplies goes to the refineries and importation of petrol stops, and then petrols are now produced locally and sold to the people locally, the 40% pressure on the Naira would be relieved. And as the Naira is relieved of this pressure, it will in turn have an effect on virtually every other facet of the economy. Remember, the rising cost of things started from when the exchange rate began to go up, floating of the exchange rate. But the moment the exchange rate begins to recover and fight its footing because of the pressure that is being lifted off it through the policy of this administration, which might still take probably some 6 to 8 months more before we start to see the effect. But by then, cost of things will begin to drop because the Naira by then would have started appreciating against the USD.
Okay. Now, looking at this, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, oh, we have to reduce the way we spend on different things because it's affecting everything right now. It's affecting our feeding, it's affecting, yes, transportation, it's affecting businesses. So it's not just because the citizens have been told to reduce the cost of how they are living, how they are spending on different items. But do you really think this is just the role of the citizens alone? What would you say government also has to play in terms of reducing costs to also mitigate this high cost of living?
When it comes to reducing cost of living, is a necessity in the situation we find ourselves as a nation. Because as it is right now, we are actually going through, in fact, for me, we have escaped a total collapse of the economy by the policies this government has taken. But of course, we are also still experiencing hardship internally, okay? But one of the ways to weather this storm is to do only things which are necessary. Like somebody said, you don't have to eat 3 square meals a day. What you have to do now is to feed to survive. Yes, eat good food, but you don't have to eat 3 square meals a day. That is what. Then also places you don't need to go, or places you can actually, things you can do without having to go to places, just make sure you get them done. If you can attend meetings online, if you can do your transactions over the phone, if you can be more effective at deliveries without having to be there, just to cut down your cost of transportation or cost of fueling your vehicles, please just do that. Then when it comes to government cutting costs, yes, government should cut costs because you cannot just ask the citizens alone to keep cutting costs and tightening their belts while the government is living in largesse. And when they talk about government cutting costs, I think I've also seen this administration, reduce the numbers of people who would have to travel whenever the government has any function, either within or outside Nigeria. The president cut down the number of people who travels with him. And I think the same thing with the vice president and the ministers and all of that. It's part of cutting costs. Yes, we might not be satisfied as the people on the amount of cost they are cutting, And same thing goes with some Nigerians complaining recently about the government having to buy a presidential jet or another presidential jet for the president and saying you're asking us to cut costs and yet you're buying presidential jets. The truth is this, every economy or in every country, the number one man of the country is a priority to the security agencies who are to protect him. And it is going to be a big loss for any nation to lose its president through an unworthy airplane. When a plane is not airworthy and you put your president in it, you're going to pay the price eventually. Just like the case of Iran recently, where the president and some of his cabinets, lost their lives. It's a pity it happened. But of course, I think they're just trying to mitigate such incidents.
Okay. Thank you for that, Honorable Bolaji. Were you able to finish because you just stopped midway? I'm sure you had more to say, but let's not digress from this whole thing. We know that it's all about our economy and also how to improve the lives of our citizens in our economy anyway. But let's take a break now. When we return, we're going to discuss on more solutions, more practical and permanent solutions. Join us after the break. Many thanks for watching the program. I'm still discussing on the increase in the cost of transportation with our guest who joined us virtually. His name is Honorable Bolaji Soneye. He is a public affairs analyst and he has joined us virtually. So can you hear me, Honorable Bolaji? Okay, well, he will join us in a few minutes. He gave a lot of insights into this, and particularly with emphasis on CNG and its benefits and how we could actually, transportation owners can tap into the benefits of using CNG, the conversion kit. Yes, initially it's going to be the first time it will be very expensive, but subsequent usage, you will see that it's cheaper than using fuel. And he also talks about how yes, reducing cost of everything is very, very key. Cost of transportation, cost of living, cost of how we feed. And it's not just the citizens alone. Even our leaders also need to adopt this so that we could brace ourselves for all this, what's currently going on in our economy. And hopefully in a few months, things will get back to normal and we can go back to living the like if I'm allowed to say it, the way it was a few years back. So now looking at all the tips that Honorable Bolaji shared with us before we went on the break, he talked about how it's very key that we needed to focus more on looking at alternatives to the transportation system, and not just with CNG, but other means of transportation, whether it's the water transportation system. We also need to look into that and also tap into using that too. And if we could also, like you mentioned, the benefits of having to sell our crude oil in naira. Now that would definitely play a very huge role, because it's when the fuel price was increased that the transportation was increased. So that's selling our crude oil in naira will also help to reduce the cost of fuel. So, Honorable Bolaji, are you here with us now? Okay, can you hear me, Honorable Bolaji? I hope you can hear me clearly. Unmute your microphone. Okay, I'm okay. If you can hear me, because I'm struggling to hear you clearly on this end. Okay, it's just a bit of a technical glitch. He'll join us shortly. And selling our crude oil in naira will play a very huge role in this, and particularly when Dangote refinery starts selling crude oil, and also being able to supply marketers with refined petroleum from Dangote refinery. That will also help to reduce the cost of fuel, and in addition, the cost of transportation and other things that are really expensive right now in our economy. So we look forward to that happening very soon. And also more enlightenment needs to be given to commercial bus drivers on the benefits of using CNG. And also, we also need to have this CNG conversion centers more in our country. We need them in different parts of the country. More stations need to be springing up so that more people can get to see the benefits of this. Now, my colleague went on the streets of Lagos to speak with Nigerians on this high cost of transportation and how they are coping. So let's take a look at this report.
In the side of the passengers to start with, the passengers are no more like before. Most of them are no more coming. We stay here for hours, 2 hours, nowhere. So before this although it is less now. Before now, we go to the filling station, we sleep there. I know how many times I sleep for the filling station before I get fuel. So, but these days is not. But only the price is no more. And the price we now, because of the price we are buying fuel, the passengers are not happy with it. Every time we go out, we listen, like if we don't take time, you fight with them because they were arguing with you. Say, well, why must you put so amount of money in place of 200 naira? You are not asking them to pay 300. If you don't take time, you go fight.
1,000 naira fuel. There is no availability of this fuel for procurement to buy. If it is available now, we'll see. Okay, let me manage buy 10, 15 liters, and get into the car and say go and do my little obligation and whatever I have to do. There is no fuel. I couldn't drive. I couldn't bring out my car, all because of I couldn't procure the liters of fuel for 1,000 naira. I don't have such an amount of money. I left the car. I had to join BRG.
It affects me one way or other because everything has increased. My transport from here to my work before is 150 naira, but now I'm using 300 naira from my house to here, which is on island. When I'm going back to now, I'm paying another 300 naira, which is highly inconvenient for me. Before I'm buying 5,000, I'm buying 4,000, but now I'm buying 1,000, 2,000 by virtue of I'm going like 2-3 times.
It has really affected us because it's too much. The fuel scarcity, the money is double of the former transport used to be. When they took 100, when 100 or 200, now it's now 400 or 500. So it's too much. Should please help us in any way they feel they can be of any help to us, because one, there's no food, there is no money, transportation, everything is too high, and when they beat transportation down, food is going to be a little bit cheaper, because if the transportation is high, people bringing the food will also order it. So they should please help us in the way they know they can help us and beat the fuel scarcity, the money and everything down.
It's not easy. Though I was before it was 200 naira, now it was 300 from Falomo to Obalende here, and it's not even okay at all. The fuel is really affecting many people. I swear, it's affecting 200, 300 naira from Falomo reach here. The journey is not even up to 30 minutes. 300 naira. Before it was 100. Let's say 2 years ago it was 100 naira. Suddenly it changed to 200. Now 300. I don't know what is going to happen before December now. I don't think I'll be using my generator. Generator will be on suspend for now because the way the fuel is increasing is not even helping.
Okay, we've heard from Nigerians, and these complaints are very real right there. And we've heard everything they have said. Yes, if the government can, places that used to charge 100 naira now takes 200 to 300. I mean, the cost of transportation has doubled. In some cases, it has tripled, and this is very worrisome. So, Honorable Bolaji, are you here with us now?
Yes.
Okay, I hope you saw that short clip from my colleague who spoke to Nigerians on the streets of Lagos, and they talked about what they are facing. This is a very serious challenge. I mean, everybody's complaining about how they are paying double in some cases, how they are paying triple of what they normally pay, and it's still the same distance. Nothing has changed. It's not like the journey was extended, but now they are paying a higher price, all because of the cost of fuel. Now, how can the government regulate the transportation industry to ensure fair prices and quality services?
To start with, I must say that it is true the people are actually experiencing this high cost of transportation, and it starts or emanates from also some drivers or transport operators taking advantage of the public at the slightest opportunity that is available. But that being said, the government can weigh in ensuring availability of fuel, because the drivers would continue to capitalize on the fact that even when prices of fuel is up, they can still find it to buy at the petrol stations. So government should ensure through the instrument of NNPC or any other medium, both independent marketers, to ensure there is enough or abundance of these products available out there. It will reduce the pressure on the drivers who have to pass it on to the commuters. Then, two, I think there's a need for a whole lot of work from the National Orientation Agency to continue to sensitize the people, those in the transport sector, the public in general, about the opportunities that are abundant and available in the CNG area, in the alternative energies area. Because I must say that this is a product that has a very high demand. Almost everybody in Nigeria needs energy to run one or two daily activities. And this also opens up business opportunities, prosperity opportunities for the economy to grow. So they need to, make enough broadcast enlightenment programs, awareness programs on radio, on TVs, on platforms like yours, to ensure you have more people aware of this, more business owners are aware of this, and then they can actually start to invest in those areas. Because when we talk about CNG availability or CNG stations, yes, they are very, very small compared to the demand that is available out there. So private investors can also come in. CNG stations doesn't have to be owned by governments alone. Private investors can come in and, have their CNG stations, probably a small place running, and then making it available for the people. And once this is available, you always get patronage and you always make your money from it. This would relieve the pressure on the people very fast. But so the government in the area of a National Orientation Agency needs to double their efforts, intensify the efforts, using platforms. We've got reach, especially online, because I must say that online these days even passes more information, a lot of information. And if they are not using platforms like yours, they are just, making things more difficult for the people. So I must say kudos to you and your team out there. You guys are doing a great job on this.
Okay, thank you for that, Honorable Bolaji. We appreciate it. Now, yes, I understand what you're saying. Yes, more orientation is definitely needed in all of this. But do you think that for commercial buses, particularly here in Lagos State, that the first time they are going to convert to the CNG, when they're purchasing this CNG conversion kit, do you think it should be free just to make sure that there is a reduction in the cost of transportation?
I would not want to say much about it being free or not, but of course, every government subsidizes things that will make life easier for its people. If we remove a petrol subsidy and things are difficult for the people, you can actually subsidize. Yes, you can. Government can subsidize the kits or tools for conversion into CNG so that it can be more affordable for both the drivers or private car owners to be able to access, such that it will bring a relief to the people. And this is not a subsidy that the government will have to continually do, because I must say, for those who are calling for a return of fuel subsidy, I don't see it as a realistic thing, because currently, as we speak, after the removal of subsidy, I think it is estimated that Nigeria consumes about 40 to 45 million liters per day of petrol per day, 40 to 45 million or close to 50 million liters per day. And if government have to subsidize that and bring it back to 200, we are saying government should be paying about 800 to 1,000 naira per liter, which is not good, which no economy can stand and sustain such, even when you look at 1,000 naira on 40 million liters daily or 50 million liters daily. So what government should rather do, yes, is to empower public commercial vehicle drivers by subsidizing those kits, maybe pay half for them and then have them pay the other half. Kind of arrangements, yes, would work. And then, of course, once you get this done, your vehicle also needs to be tagged a CNG vehicle so that commuters will also know that now you are running on cheaper fuel, probably government subsidized kits, so you can make life easy for them. They can now know, oh, this person, the government is supporting him to support us, so that you don't continue to charge them higher prices like those who are using petrol.
Well said. Thank you for that, Honorable Bolaji. Now, before we end the program now, could you just in a few words, what is the future outlook for transportation costs in Nigeria? Just a few words, please.
In the short term, yes, it's going to be expensive like we have it. But in the long time, when people began to realize the opportunities are abound in alternative energies, prices of transportation costs will begin to drop, and it's going to drop well in the long run, of course. That's my opinion.
Discuss the increase in the cost of transportation and the way forward. Many thanks for sharing your insights into this, Honorable Bolaji. It is well appreciated, and we look forward to having you again on the program. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thanks for having me as well.
Okay, let's look at the money markets this morning, how the Naira is faring when we're going to sell against the dollars, the pound sterling, and the euros. For today, Thursday, 12th September 2024, we're looking at the Central Bank of Nigeria rate and the parallel market rate. So the dollar is currently selling at, this is the CBN rate, 1,575 Naira to $1 at the CBN rate. And at the parallel market rate, it is selling at 1,658 Naira to $1. For the pound sterling, at the CBN rate, it is selling at 2,086 Naira to £1 sterling. At the parallel market rate, it is selling at 2,161 Naira to £1 sterling. For the euro, the CBN rate is 1,766 Naira to €1, and the parallel market rate is 1,828 Naira to €1. So these are our money market figures this morning, and the parallel market figures are way higher than the Central Bank of Nigeria figures. Many thanks for watching the program Market Insights this morning, as our guest, Honorable Bolaji Soneye, shared his insights into how we can look at the positive side of this. And like he says, it's a short-term storm is going to weather off very soon, and we should all look on the bright side and tap into more positive things. We should be more optimistic and tap into the benefits of CNG, and also the government also reducing its cost of governing will also help us in this country. So thank you so much for watching Markets Insights this morning. I am your host, Lovina Emah. Do stay tuned to the news update on Souq News Television.
We've got just what you need right here at